Hello, a very good evening to you. Welcome to Calendar from ITV News.
Hello, here are tonight's main stories.
The moments before a murder, a schoolboy is found guilty of killing 15-year-old Alfie Lewis outside a school in Horsforth in Leeds.
We love you. You are always in our hearts and our minds, and until we are together again, keep dancing in the sky, our beautiful boy. We miss and love you always.
We'll hear the tributes from Alfie's family and friends after this afternoon's verdict. Also on the programme,
it's grim up north for the Tories as Labour win a crucial vote in Rishi Sunak's backyard. A victory in what's traditionally been a true blue county.
They want to see real change. They see it with Labour, they see it under Keir's leadership, and I think this result really shows and highlights that.
Do you blame Rishi Sunak's unpopularity for what's happened here?
I mean, Rishi supported my campaign. He's helped me out on the campaign trail. It's tough.
as 2 days of local election ballot counting continue right around the region, it's not all rosy for Labour. We'll have all the results of what's happened where and analysis of what it might mean when we head back to the ballot box. Plus,
providing a big moment for the Tykes.
Barnsley kick off a huge weekend of football action tonight. I'll have all the build-up to their League One playoff semi-final with Bolton.
And beyond the clematis, will it be cloudy skies or sunshine for the bank holiday weekend? I'll have all the detail a little later on.
but first tonight, a 15-year-old boy has been found guilty of stabbing another teenager to death in front of children on their way home from school in Horsforth in Leeds.
The boy, who can't be named because of his age, took a knife from the kitchen of his home and kept it hidden all day before attacking Alfie Lewis.
The family of Alfie, who was also 15, wept in court as the verdict was read out. Katie Oscroft has been following the case for us. Clearly a very emotional day, Katie.
Absolutely, Lara. The jury had taken 9 hours to find the boy guilty of murder, and as they did so, Alfie Lewis's family shouted yes, and they wept with relief in court. The 15-year-old boy on trial showed no emotion. We can show you for the first time CCTV of Alfie walking through Horsforth on the day he was murdered. It was a familiar route and a familiar time. He was on his way to meet friends, but his attacker surprised him. His family have been in court throughout this distressing trial, and they said today their lives will never be the same again.
The only justice we want for Alfie was to come home to me and my mum and to us as a family. Most of us all would like to say thank you to Alfie for giving us your love, joy and humour and making us smile every day for the 15 years we had to enjoy you. We love you. You are always in our hearts and our minds, and until we are together again, keep dancing in the sky, our beautiful boy. We miss and love you always.
So upsetting to hear Alfie's brother there. Now, Alfie died back in November. How did it happen?
Well, the 15-year-old boy who's been on trial left home at that day of the murder, what should have been an ordinary day, but he took with him a knife from the kitchen of the family home. He kept it hidden until he walked up to Alfie in the middle of the afternoon and he stabbed him. He said that Alfie had previously threatened him and that he was scared of him, but witnesses all said that they were watching a one-sided fight. And bear in mind, this was all played out in front of parents and children from 2 schools who were on their way home.
The evidence has shown us continuously throughout the trial that he did in fact plan the attack, and that he was in fact the aggressor, that he launched a very deliberate and determined attack and ultimately left, fatally stabbing and leaving a defenceless Alfie in the street. I can only hope that this tragedy helps to illustrate the devastating consequences of knife crime, and that the message is clear that it can never be right to carry a knife or to use it to help settle your differences.
And Katie, just explain to us what happens now.
Well, Lara, Alfie Lewis's family left court today visibly relieved at today's verdict, but they are likely to return here on the 21st of June when the judge, Mr Justice Cotter, will sentence the 15-year-old boy for his crime. He is now a convicted murderer. He is also still a child.
Katie, live from Leeds Crown Court, thank you very much. Or next to the local elections and the shock result that had the Labour leader hot-footing it to North Yorkshire to celebrate.
Labour's David Scaife won the New York and North Yorkshire mayoral election right in Rishi Sunak's backyard. It'll be a bitter pill to swallow for the Tories, but for Sir Keir Starmer, it's a victory that sparked yet more calls to return to the ballot box for a general election.
Our political correspondent Sharon Carer reports.
A bolt from the blue, planting a red brick in North Yorkshire.
And Keir Starmer is here in the Prime Minister's constituency with the first ever mayor for York and North Yorkshire, a Labour mayor for York and North Yorkshire, David Scaife.
Labour were the underdogs in this race. For Sir Keir Starmer, that was a cause for celebration.
But this is a very, very special moment, David, to become the mayor here. And thank you to the team for all the fantastic work that they have done.
This is a Tory stronghold, a contest they wanted to win and, according to previous results, should have won. For the Tory candidate then, a painful defeat.
Today has not been my day, but I do feel proud of the campaign that I've been able to run. It's been toughly fought, it's been gruelling. I'm just so proud of the fact that I was able to get out there to every single community across our county.
The significance of a Labour win in this traditional Tory territory wasn't lost on Labour's newly elected mayor.
North Yorkshire hasn't always been the happiest of hunting grounds for us, but I think we're seeing real change there. We had Keir won the by-election in Selby not that long ago, and we have huge potential. What we've been hearing from the doorsteps, literally 1,000 people a day we've been talking to, they want to see real change. They see it with Labour, they see it under Keir's leadership, and I think this result really shows and highlights that.
The new York and North Yorkshire Combined Authority takes in the Prime Minister's own constituency.
Arms!
At an army base in North Yorkshire today, he kept his head below the parapet, timing his visit before the declaration and avoiding any mention of the contest.
Obviously, it's disappointing to lose good, hard-working Conservative councillors, and I'm grateful to them for all their service in local government, keeping council tax low and delivering services for local people. But we've still got lots of results to come as well.
But those results aren't what the Conservatives had hoped for, putting pressure on Rishi Sunak from within his own ranks.
I mean, I've been saying for 6 months that he should step down, but it's not down to one person, is it? I've been trying to urge my colleagues for 6 months and they haven't moved.
Do you blame Rishi Sunak's unpopularity for what's happened here?
I mean, Rishi's supported my campaign. He's helped me out on the campaign trail. It's tough, it's difficult for the Conservative Party right now, but I hopefully feel confident that...
Keane Duncan may have been lost for words, but if more Tory MPs choose to speak up against the Prime Minister, this North Yorkshire result could have ripples across the country.
An historic day, some would say. Sharon Preet is with us. This doesn't look good for the Prime Minister, though, does it, Sharon Preet?
No, it doesn't, Ian. I mean, a few years ago, I think this result would have been unheard of in North Yorkshire. You'll have heard of Yorkshire's red wall. Well, if Yorkshire had a blue wall, it would have been in North Yorkshire. We saw that start to change in 2023 with the Selby by-election result. That was a real coup for Labour. Today's result sends a signal that Labour might be on course not just to rebuild the red wall, but extend it even further.
Seems astonishing, doesn't it? Now then, we won't get the results for the South and West Yorkshire mayoral. We won't get those results, until tomorrow. But what about the East Midlands? Will we get those?
Well, we've had another Tory defeat. More predictable there. You know, the Tories were expected to lose, but the scale wasn't predictable. They lost by 50,000 votes. Now, Ben Bradley was the Tory candidate there. He's the MP for Mansfield. So to lose with that margin as a sitting MP must really, really sting. Now, the question is, what happens next? Tory MPs will be looking at these local results and thinking, we don't want a kicking like this when it comes to the general election. That puts Rishi Sunak in an extremely precarious position.
OK, for the moment, thank you, Charanpreet.
Now, more analysis comes from Charanpreet later on, actually. But first of all, let's take a quick look at what else has happened this afternoon.
Yes, it's not all been plain sailing for the Labour Party. Helen Steele has a roundup of results so far around the rest of the region.
Each packs of bacon, £10 a pack now. Come on, lamb chops, 12 quid a bag.
Prices are low here today at Ossett Market, but so, it seems, is voter turnout.
I didn't know we had to vote.
Did you vote yesterday?
Sorry, no.
Why is that?
Because I start at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then that's at the bakery, and then I go back to the farms, and we were still carving cows and lambing sheep till 11 o'clock last night.
Those who did vote were overwhelmed by the choice.
I can't remember, honestly, what I ticked the box for. There were that many choices.
Well, if today is a test of strength for Labour, it's places like this that they're desperate to win. But here in Ossett, there's a real sense of apathy and a reluctance to even head to the polling stations in the first place. Over in Kirklees, Labour lost its paper-thin majority, thanks to independent gains. One candidate, who won with a 62% majority, attributed that to Labour's stance on Gaza.
Because my campaign was about equality, transparency, accountability, and it was about everybody, humanity, also foreign policy as well. People of Gaza, people were dying.
And over in Sheffield, cautious applause from the Labour MP as the party made gains. But there's still no gold medal, there's no overall control, and the Tories have no seats at all.
As a Conservative party, we are struggling. We're doing really well in terms of actually reducing the inflation, trying to be really tough on immigration. We just got a Rwanda bill passed. But I guess people are still not seeing the real change.
Here too, there's one issue proving the biggest hurdle for Labour.
There's one issue that costs us votes, and that's the reaction of people in the Muslim community to Labour's initial response on Gaza. We were too slow to approve a ceasefire.
In Leeds, Labour retained control with one new independent councillor who's already well known to many. Back in Ossett, the turnout for the market at least was good, and soon political parties here will be setting out their stall for the general election. Helen Steele, ITV News.
Well, we'll find out who the next mayors for West and South Yorkshire are when those votes are counted tomorrow.
Meanwhile, Emma Haywood's been keeping across two police and crime commissioner contests, which have just been declared. What can you tell us, Emma?
Well, earlier today there were counts here for the Humberside Police and Crime Commissioner, and it was Jonathan Everson who won that race. He was re-elected into that role. He'll cover an area from North Lincolnshire out to towns like Goole in the East Riding. He won with just over 51,000 votes, a smaller margin than back in 2021 when he was elected. But he said, given the national picture, he wasn't taking anything for granted this time.
I mean, the national picture is appalling. I mean, it does happen to governments in mid-term. There's been a lot of challenges, but I'm interested in Humberside. That's my job. You know, I want to do a good job, and we've got an awful lot of things to talk about that we've done in the last 3 years. I've got a good track record, and we'll continue to do a good job.
Yes, a big job to do there. And what about in places like Newark and Mansfield, Emma? What's happened there this afternoon?
Well, we were really hoping to be able to bring you that result. We were expecting a declaration around 5:30, then 6, but there seems to have been some delay. But all eyes really are on a man called Gary Godden, the Labour candidate. He is a former police officer. He has been campaigning on things like rebuilding neighbourhood policing, combating antisocial behaviour. And if he wins for Labour, it will be a very big deal for them.
OK, Emma, thank you very much indeed, reporting there live for us tonight.
Well, let's take a look now in detail at the results from right across our region and what it could mean as we approach a general election.
Well, we've brought our political correspondent, Charanpreet Kaur, who's had a very busy day, back into the studio for some more analysis and going through the numbers. Well, here's our man, James Webster.
James, let's come to you first. And not all the councils took part in the elections, did they?
No, not this time around. So there was no voting in North Yorkshire or North Lincolnshire, but 8 of our councils were actually electing new members. Now, not all the seats in those areas were being contested. A total of 233 wards were voting. So that's a little under half the seats on those councils. There was that Humberside Police and Crime Commissioner election that we've just been hearing about as well, and elections for those mayors in North West and South Yorkshire. But let's focus on the councils. The big change is Kirklees Labour losing the majority there, so it's now under no overall control. But actually, if we look at the numbers, both the Conservatives and Labour lost seats. They were picked up by the Lib Dems, the Greens, interestingly, a lot of independents as well. So that's now how the whole council is looking in Kirklees, and you can see that the Labour members there now make up less than half of the total council there, hence why it's now under no overall control.
So, James, some changes certainly there. Just give us an overview of how the region's now looking politically.
Yeah, well, if we look at the local authorities that were voting in West and South Yorkshire, this is how it looked before. A lot of red on this map showing all the local authorities that were under Labour control. Just Sheffield there under no overall control, highlighted in grey. But if we look at how things are after what's changed today, well, Kirklees has now turned grey because it's under no overall control. But actually, the rest of the map looks pretty much as it did before.
Well, let's bring in Charanpreet now. What does all of that mean?
Well, the Labour Party could very well look at that map and think, well, there's still a fair bit of red, we're in a good position, but they will be disappointed by that shift that you can see in Kirklees. As you heard in Helen's piece, the conflict in Israel and Gaza and the Labour Party's response to that has certainly been a factor. It's not the only council nationally that Labour has lost because of the issue. We also heard how it impacted Sheffield. Now, Sheffield's another interesting one. The Liberal Democrats lost 2 seats to Labour there. It doesn't sound like much, but this is an area where the Liberal Democrats are desperate to fight Labour when it comes to the general election. No blue on the map, not a change there, but given the result with the North Yorkshire mayoralty, that is significant. All 3 major parties will now be poring over the details, thinking about their futures.
OK, stay there, we'll be back to you in a second. James, can you just give us an idea of the overall numbers now then?
Yeah, let's take a look at what was happening right across our region. So before this election, these were the seats that were being defended. So the Conservatives defending 47, Labour 122, the Liberal Democrats 24, the Greens 10 and a few others held by independents and some of the smaller parties. If we look at how the numbers look now, some of the results are still trickling in as we're going on air, but this is how it's looking as we've come on air. 30 seats for the Conservatives, 131 for Labour, 25 for the Liberal Democrats. Interestingly, 24 seats over there now held by some of the smaller parties as well. So there are some changes. And if we look at those changes, I think we can see how many are up and how many are down. The Conservatives down 17 here, Labour up 9. And there you can see some extra others at the far end of the graph there.
Yes, James, very, very striking, those bar charts. Again, Charanpreet, what exactly does that mean?
Well, the first thing I want to pick up on is the independents. Yes, they've lost out overall, but Kirklees will be significant, something for the Labour Party to look at. And that may be why their gains aren't quite as big as they might have hoped. Now, we do have significant Muslim communities in our region. An analysis of the local elections so far has shown that the Labour Party has performed most poorly in wards with those large Muslim populations. The broad trend is Tories down, Labour up, but that voter apathy is something that all politicians should be alarmed by.
OK, Charanpreet and James, thank you very much indeed. Well, there will, of course, be more on the results when the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30. Here's a look at what's happening with Charlene White.
Labour wins big in the local elections following a bleak night for the Conservatives. So Keir Starmer hailed results across the country as a clear message for change, while Rishi Sunak was left disappointed. We'll have reaction and analysis on what it could mean for a general election. Also tonight, 3 teenagers jailed for the killing of 16-year-old Mikey Roynan. And the King continues his return to public life at the Royal Windsor Horse Show. So join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Thank you, Charlene. Well, it's time for some sport now. Playoff season is upon us.
Xero accounting software. Sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
It's very busy in here tonight, isn't it? We've got Chris in now as well. You've changed from Charon Preet. We've reached crunch stage now of the season, haven't we?
Not half, Lara. Yeah, we've had some political drama in the studio tonight. Let's have some sporting drama, shall we? The last round of the Championship matches. We'll get on to that in just a moment. But before that, we've got the first playoff fixture of the year down at Barnsley. The Tykes take on Bolton in the League One playoff semi-final first leg. Arif Ahmed's live for us down at Oakwell this evening. Arif, are you there? There he is. Arif, what would be a good result for Barnsley tonight?
Well, Chris, a win would be a great result for Barnsley. Any sort of advantage, big or small, that they can take into the second leg on Tuesday would be massive. But that is so much easier said than done, especially for Barnsley, who've had a real turbulent end to their season. They're currently without a permanent manager, with Neil Collins, who was sacked with just one regular league game left. And their form, well, that's really fallen off a cliff. They've won just 2 of their last 10 league games. But interim head coach Martin Devaney, who himself will just be in charge for the second time, said that the playoffs was always the aim for Barnsley. And now that they've achieved that there's a real weight that's taken off the players' shoulders, which will allow them to play with much more freedom tonight.
I think the playoffs, though, there's always an atmosphere, isn't there? You know, the expectancy, there's always that buzz around the place. So, you know, that's why the players have worked hard, you know, all year to get into these positions for potentially promotion or having that trip out at Wembley. So, yeah, the lads will be excited. I'm sure there'll be a buzz around the ground and they'll be looking forward to it.
Well, let me tell you, Chris, it's going to be a real red-hot atmosphere here at Oakwell tonight. Not just because it's the playoffs, but it's also the last home game of the season here at Oakwell. So they really want to go out with a bang. And Barnsley have great form of beating Bolton in the playoffs. They did so exactly this time last year, so they hope that history will repeat itself. Barnsley haven't had much to cheer about over the last few months, but they hope that a win will change that.
Arif Ahmed live at Oakwell. Fingers crossed for Barnsley tonight. OK, well, that's Barnsley aiming to reach the Championship. Leeds United still harbouring hopes of escaping it. They need a massive favour from West Yorkshire rivals Huddersfield Town tomorrow. As you can see, Leeds are 3 points behind Ipswich in third going into the final day. They do have a bit of goal difference, so if Leeds beat Southampton tomorrow and Ipswich lose at home to Huddersfield, well, the Whites are up. The chances, though, are very slim.
Obviously, it's not in our hands anymore, but if we get some help from somewhere else, perhaps to surprise them even on the last game day, but also for the playoffs, it's important to finish as strong as possible, and for that we will go for it and try to be there with the best possible result and also the best possible performance.
Meanwhile, at the other end of the Championship table, Sheffield Wednesday could pull off what would be one of the greatest escapes ever seen. Now, the Owls need just a point from their final game of the season to guarantee survival, a situation which would have been unthinkable just a few short weeks ago. But a run of 3 wins and 2 draws from their last 5 matches means it's in their hands going into the final day.
Yeah, this is what we have to do, make the final step now. It's a good opportunity, and I'm very convinced about my team. I feel this again this week. We are very focused to the next game, and this is great to see.
Now, Rotherham are already relegated, but how about this for a gesture? Goalkeeper Victor Johansson is buying 600 pints for fans at a local pub ahead of the Millers game against Cardiff tomorrow. It was popular before, was Johansson. He won't ever have to buy another drink in Rotherham again after that, will he?
He certainly won't. I'll tell you what, we're popular tonight. We don't know who's dropping in next to see us. Who could it be?
Who's this? Oh, well, it's Kerry.
Hiya! Happy Friday. It was cooler today, wasn't it? It wasn't quite as warm as yesterday, and it's been cloudier, and we also had some fairly beefy showers. They were thundery out towards the North Sea. They tended to ease off a little bit and lose energy as they pushed their way westwards during the course of today, but there's a few more bubbling up that have been bubbling up over the last few hours, and there's some rain to come in from the south. So as we head into the holiday weekend, it's improving tomorrow. It will be warmer from Sunday with a mix of sunshine and showers, and of course the forecast's coming up. But a heads up for next week, high pressure right over the UK. So we're looking at light winds, dry conditions, hopefully some sunshine and some decent temperatures too. Now it's Friday. I like a snack on a Friday, chips and dips, maybe with a little Friday drink. Look at this, Kingfisher in Driffield. A big thank you to Beverly Sentuck. Amazing there, the definition on that. Well, I feel a little bit sorry for that little tinker there. And yeah, it's good to share, isn't it? Here are the kingfishers in Driffield again. And last but no means least, Jimmy thought he was breakfast. It's not a crocodile, it's not an alligator, it's just a little bit of wood on the waters at Rother Valley Country Park. But yeah, plenty of blue sky reflecting in the water there. But will we see any over the weekend? Here's your forecast.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Yes, it's by no means a washout as we head into the bank holiday weekend. Today it started off dry for some, definitely lighter winds, this dandelion clock just about holding on. But for most of us, we at least for a time, those heavy showers working westwards. And as we head deeper into tonight, it continues to be fairly unsettled. We've got showers continuing from the east and also spells of rain pushing in from the south, all edging north and westwards during the course of the night. So cloudy and damp, misty and murky over the hills, perhaps becoming a little bit drier from the south as we head towards dawn. The wind's relatively light, but we've got low cloud out towards the North Sea and those temperatures relatively mild, not much lower than 10 or 11 Celsius for towns and cities. A great capture by Simon and Dawn in foxholes. You can just about make out this fog bow in the low cloud last night, their eastern times 5:23 and 8:44. So tomorrow morning, a little bit disappointing. Cloudy, misty, murky, damp, especially in the north and west over the Yorkshire Dales and the Pennines. But as we head through into the afternoon, it will be becoming increasingly dry, albeit pretty cloudy. And then as we head towards the evening from the south, we'll see the increase in those brighter conditions towards the very end of the day. So it's a slow improvement through Saturday. As we head through tomorrow night and into Sunday, it's not too bad again. In the far north could linger that cloud and misty and murky conditions first thing, but we do have a slice of sunshine mixed in with scattered showers, and in the sunny spells it's going to feel quite nice. This is a snapshot of Monday. Again, sunshine and showers, feeling warm in the sunny spells, and then a hint that things are settling down as we head towards midweek next week.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Now, remember earlier in the week we showed you some fantastic pictures of Wakefield Cathedral roof and a lovely peregrine falcon there, look, with a little baby chick and a little egg.
Oh yeah, I love those pictures. You've got some more good news, haven't you, Kerry?
Oh my goodness, yeah, take a look at this. All the Friday fields. This is at the top of the Parkinson Tower at Leeds University. A peregrine falcon with 4 chicks hatched just over the last 3 days. They look a happy family and everyone at the university is thrilled, as are we. Absolutely gorgeous.
I thought you were saying we were a happy family.
We are a happy family.
We are a happy family. On a Friday, it's got that Friday feel before the bank holiday.
From the calendar family, have a great bank holiday. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.